Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome back to Sales Mastery Bahrain. Let's jump right in. Today, in Lesson 3, we are taking a really fascinating deep dive into the psychology of your customers. We're breaking down exactly why customers buy, and trust me, mastering this concept is going to completely transform your approach to selling. But real quick, before we unpack today's concepts, let's just do a super fast recap of our journey so far. Back in Lesson 1, we established that solid product knowledge is your ultimate foundation. The more you know, the more confident you are. And as we know, confidence creates trust, and trust is what actually creates sales. Then in Lesson 2, we learned a really crucial mindset shift. Objections are absolutely not rejections. They are actually your best opportunities to build that essential trust and provide real reassurance. All right, so here is the foundational truth for today. A lot of salespeople out there firmly believe customers buy purely based on features, specs, or maybe just the price tag. But honestly, the reality is totally different. People buy emotionally first, and then they justify their decisions logically afterward. Think about it. When was the last time you bought something that genuinely excited you? Sure, you probably looked at the specs and compared prices, but your final decision was heavily driven by how that purchase made you feel. At the end of the day, customers buy because they want a better future than their current reality. So to fully grasp this entire journey, we are going to explore 4 key areas today: logic versus emotion, the 4 buyer personalities, spotting the buying signals, and finally, certainty and ethical selling. Let's move right into our first section: logic versus emotion, the real reason customers buy. The real pros in sales understand that behind every single purchase is a core emotional driver. When someone buys a luxury watch, they aren't just buying a fancy way to tell time, right? They are buying status. When someone purchases life insurance, they aren't just buying a policy document. They are buying peace of mind for their family. Even a business owner investing in high-quality office uniforms is actually purchasing professionalism and brand image. The moment you start understanding the real emotion behind the purchase, your effectiveness just skyrockets. Okay, moving on to Section 2, the 4 buyer personalities and how to adapt your approach. So now that we know emotion is the core, we have to recognize that not all minds operate the same way when they walk through your door. If you push a generic one-size-fits-all pitch, it is absolutely going to cost you the deal. On one side of the spectrum, you have the analytical buyer. They want the hard facts, the detailed comparisons, and the concrete evidence before they even think about deciding. But on the flip side, you have the emotional buyer. They are totally focused on the feelings, the experiences, and the direct personal benefits the product is going to bring to their life. And of course, you also need to be on the lookout for a couple of other profiles. There's the price-conscious customer who is laser-focused on getting the absolute best value for their hard-earned money. And then there's the convenience-focused buyer who honestly just cares about speed, simplicity, and a completely hassle-free transaction. A professional salesperson quickly identifies who they're talking to and effortlessly adapts their communication style to match exactly what that specific customer values. Which brings us to Section 3, spotting the buying signals, going from interest to action. Recognizing personalities is a brilliant start, but what exactly is a buying signal? Essentially, it's a behavioral clue. It shows you that the customer is mentally taking the product home. They are imagining ownership and moving much closer to a purchasing decision. Missing these clues is literally costing salespeople countless deals every single day just because they aren't paying attention. Let's break down verbal signals first. When a customer starts asking really detailed questions, things like, how soon can I get it? What's the warranty? Or can I pay in installments? They are verbally showing you genuine interest. They aren't just browsing anymore. They are literally trying to figure out how to fit this product into their everyday life and their budget. But then we have physical body language, and wow, this tells a completely different story, often without a single word being spoken. If a customer is moving physically closer to the product, really taking their time to examine the fine details, nodding frequently, locking in that eye contact, or pulling a family member into the discussion, those are massive, undeniable nonverbal buying signals indicating heavy emotional investment. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Picture yourself in a furniture showroom, right here in Bahrain. A customer has been looking at a specific sofa set for 20 minutes and finally asks about delivery timing and available colors. An amateur salesperson will hear that and just nervously go back to repeating the fabric specs. But a professional recognizes the buying signal instantly and just calmly asks, based on what we've discussed, do you feel this option meets your requirements? Bam! That effortlessly advances the sale without creating any awkward pressure.
And that takes us right into our final section for today, certainty and ethical selling, closing the loop. Now, we've talked about how emotions drive sales, right? The common emotional triggers are things like trust, security, comfort, status, convenience, and achievement. Professional salespeople ethically connect these core triggers to the actual outcomes the customer wants. And I want to emphasize the word ethically. Your job is never to manipulate. Your role is to help your customer make a highly informed decision that creates a true win-win situation for both them and the business.
But let's pause and think about this for a second. After you've built all that rapport, you've identified their personality, spotted the buying signals, and made that strong emotional connection, what is the ultimate psychological catalyst? What is the final push that gets a customer to look at you and confidently say, yes, I'll take it? They buy when they feel absolute certainty. That is the magic word here. Your fundamental job as a salesperson is to provide that complete certainty by thoroughly answering their questions, addressing every single lingering concern they might have, and building their total confidence in both you and the product. You have to remember this golden rule of sales. Uncertainty creates hesitation. It leaves a customer completely paralyzed, which forces them to use that dreaded phrase, "I need to think about it," as they walk out the door. Certainty, on the other hand, creates immediate action. The more certainty you provide, the easier it is for them to make that final decision. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to anchor this truth in your mind. Customers buy because of emotion, and they use logic to justify it. Mastering this aspect of human psychology gives you such a massive advantage, and it sets us up perfectly for Lesson 4, where we're going to dive into the exact step-by-step techniques for confidently closing these sales. But before you step back onto the sales floor today, I want to leave you with a question. Are you still just pitching logical features to your customers, or are you finally ready to start selling to their heart? Keep observing those signals, and I will see you in the next explainer.